This video is going to describe one factor that can influence talent identification and talent development in sport. It is known as the relative age effect. The relative age effect refers to the imbalance in the distribution of birth dates, discriminating against players born late in the selection year and favouring players born early in the selection year, usually the first two quartiles. In some cases, athletes born early in the selection year have a full year of development over people born late in the selection year. First of all, we need to ask ourselves, what are quartiles? Cambridge Dictionaries defines quartiles as one of four equal measurements that a set of things can be divided into. In this case, it's four sets of 3 months within a year. Most European countries use quartiles that coincide with the calendar year. Quartile 1 is January to March, Quartile 2 is April to June, Quartile 3 is July to September, and Quartile 4 is October to December. However, academies in the UK work the same as the school year, with Quartile 1 being September to November, Quartile 2 December to February, Quartile 3 March to May, and Quartile 4 June to August. An example of the relative age effect would be Romelu Lukaku. He is a current Manchester United and ex-Everton player. At youth level, he was considered large in terms of height and structure in the games that he played, so much so that his mother had to take his birth certificate to games to prove his age. He was born on the 13th of May 1993. This equates to Quartile 2 on the European quartile system. From an academic point of view, Helson et al. Did a study in 2012 that investigated 10 professional football leagues in the 2010 to 2011 season. He found that out of 305 players, 118 were born in the first quartile, compared to only 46 players born in the fourth quartile. In this case, Quartile 1 was January to March, Quartile 2 was April to June, Quartile 3 was July to September, and Quartile 4 was October to December. Interestingly, Sierra Diaz found that in sports such as golf, where physical attributes such as body mass and size were less likely to influence performance, no relative age effect was identified. And in non-physical sporting activities such as shooting or darts, an inverse relative age effect was identified. This means that players born later in the selection year were at an advantage rather than older players born earlier in the selection year. One way to solve the problems that arise from the relative age effect is biobanding. Biobanding is a process that involves grouping athletes together based on their attributes associated with maturation and growth rather than age. Biobanding is believed to result in greater competitiveness between athletes and a reduced risk of injury. Teams such as AFC Bournemouth have trialled biobanding through tournaments and games that they have run, and these were considered a success. I think biobanding is a good idea if it is used in the right way. It gives each player a chance to show off what skills they have in a different environment that suits them better than in chronological age grouping systems. Ben Bradley, who is head of sports science at Bournemouth, said, "For me, biobanding is just an addition. It's not taking over from chronological age grouping. It's just something different for us to take a look at. It gives our coaches another way of assessing our players." However, while biobanding might seem like a good idea, the Premier League seems to have other ideas. If you were to group academy players by height and weight only, you're creating a fake environment that doesn't really exist in football, says James Bunce, who is head of sports science at the Premier League. Whilst I agree that biobanding can be a successful method in terms of providing a fairer environment, this is never going to be the case at elite level. For training purposes it is a good idea, but the athletes also need to be prepared for a range of scenarios that they might face, as they will likely be playing with athletes bigger, smaller, younger and older than themselves.
Created using Powtoon.